our strategy that we've actually been really successful at, as Karina said, early conversations with payers is really the way to drive this. So we got burnt in the infliximab market when it came out. We didn't have the conversations with payers saying that we're going to actually go and make this change in our formulary. So by the time that they actually decided on which formulary they were going to use, we were still deciding on which one we were going to make to use for our formulary. And of course, they couldn't wait for us to make that decision, and because there was millions of dollars at stake for them. So, but what we did now is that we actually go to our local payer market and basically let them know that we are actually evaluating these for adoption, and we are very interested in switching. And we don't want them to actually choose a biosimilar. We would like to be the entity that chooses it. And so we've got a blanket statement from our local payers that for oncology biosimilars, they will not be choosing one versus the other. In the states that they haven't been able to do that, I've actually seen very extreme levels of regulations that, a lot of institutions have pushed through where they actually do not allow payers to actually choose a biosimilar in that state. So there's definitely government influence that can be used. But I think the more appropriate is actually working collaboratively with the payer to give them a heads up and have those early conversations, which will really help reduce the number of biosimilars you have to carry in your formulary. But I think it is hard when you have institutions that actually have majority of the patients coming from out of state, for consults and treatment. So those are the most challenging, where you have hundreds and hundreds of payers from out of state that you have to deal with. And it's impossible to control the formulary there.
Michael, is there some saving grace that, for the most part, oncology is more weighted towards Medicare than any other specialty? So almost every oncology practice is dominant payer is Medicare, and you don't have to play with these games and figure it out?
That is partially correct. I would have to agree with that, but it really depends on where you're at. Because you can see a lot of geographical differences. A lot of people tend to retire in Florida, which is where I am. And so obviously it's the dominant payer here. But I think I agree with what I've heard so far, in that it requires a lot of collaboration with your payers. It just so happens that the largest percentage overall of our patient care, it's covered under some form of a value-based contract. Where our Medicare is under a value-based contract with the oncology care model. The vast majority of our commercial plans are as well. I mean, the only ones that aren't are Medicaid and then some of the Medicare Advantage plans. And then in those value-based contracts, all of the incentives are aligned. The overall goal is to take the best care of the patient and to do it in the most reasonable fashion. And so if you remove the obstacles, align incentives, then I think you can get the best results overall from your patients. It helps make the situation win-win for everybody, not only the patients, but the providers and also the payers. So I think it's the collaboration that's required.
And your value-based care collaborations are with your commercial payers as well?
Correct, they are.
Kathy, are you seeing any interest, willingness among the commercial payers? I mean, in every state, it's going to be the state's big blue that's going to be by far and away, the number one commercial payer on the list you want to collaborate with. Mm-hmm. Are they receptive?
Funny enough, yes, we are working on that. They do have an interest in bringing down, as we've talked, that total cost of care, and we have had that discussion. And funny enough, yes, we are working on a biosim value-based contract with our state blue.